Hello, and we are back in beautiful British Columbia. Today I'm going to be filming outside because it is a pretty nice and moderate day. A little bit overcast, so get that nice soft light. Today we're going to be talking about my thoughts on the new Canon EOS R5 and R6 and kind of why I won't be upgrading my EOS R to the newer cameras. For those of you who are not interested in camera gear, then why did you click this video? Feel free to click out. I also just wanted to quickly get this out of the way. For the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna be away, and then I'm gonna be transitioning back to Toronto, which is gonna be a little bit of a transition. So without further ado, I'm gonna be talking about some of the reasons why I think I really just shouldn't upgrade. First thing I'm going to be talking about in terms of the new release is the higher megapixel count of the R5. The camera I'm shooting on right now is the Canon EOS R, and this camera already has 30 megapixels, and that's very ample for most types of work that I'll be doing. I'm going to be primarily using this camera for in-studio photos, for product and food photography. However, even then, a lot of my work is going to be already set up, and I'm going to have the luxury of the time to be able to set things up. So even with 30 megapixels, I could probably even get away with the 20 megapixels on something like the Canon 70D or, you know, the new Canon R6. Also talking about the new video modes for 8K and no crop 4K, that would be pretty cool to take a look at. But I think in terms of general use case, I still stick with 1080p on my YouTube videos. It just makes it a lot easier to edit the files as well as storing it. I just need less space to store it. And in order to process the larger 4K 120 files on the new Canon EOS R5, I would actually probably have to upgrade a new computer. So new graphics card, new processor, just to be able to handle that amount of data in the video file. And since most of my videos I'm just going to be uploading to YouTube, I don't really have a use for shooting in 8K or shooting in 4K even. I think 1080 has been working just fine for me. Maybe in the future when computers get faster and more affordable, then I might be considering to upgrade, but for now I think I'm very okay with my setup. In addition, in the future, I actually don't think I'm going to be doing as much video work, primarily focusing on photography. So that's just another reason why I won't be utilizing the video features that much. As for the cost, in Canada, the R5 body alone costs $5,400. The R6 costs $3,500 for body alone, while right now the EOS R is selling for $2,400. And you can kind of see a big price gap between all of these cameras. If I'm going to be selling my EOS R body secondhand, I'll probably get under 2K for it. And to spend that extra money upgrading, I could just invest that in another lens that might be more beneficial for my work or more lighting. So really I'm okay with the EOS R. The quality is great. In terms of battery life, the Canon EOS R actually I think has a CIPA rating that beats out the R5 and R6, even though they have newer batteries that are supposed to offer better battery life. But in general use, I was actually able to get more shots out of the battery than the rating said I could get. I think I shot definitely upwards of about 1,000 photos with one battery. And that being said, like, the battery life is pretty good on this. I think one of the biggest drawbacks with crop sensor cameras is the battery capacity that most of them have, especially within Canon's lineup. I've noticed that the battery life on those cameras are just significantly worse. In terms of the button layout, the new button layout looks very nice and very comfortable to hold. However, I guess I really have just gotten used to the EOS R's controls. I don't use the touch bar because it's just a crap feature. However, the rest of the camera feels pretty natural to me now. I did notice that in having the AF button a bit closer to where your thumb would actually rest might be more convenient. However, I've gotten used to kind of side pressing it. As for the joystick, I generally was okay with using the touchscreen on the previous camera I had, which was the Canon M5 and the Canon 6D, where you didn't really have that option of using a joystick. So I'm not too upset about it. In terms of size and weight, the EOS R actually weighs lighter than the R6 and the R5. The EOS R with the battery comes in at 660 grams, whereas the EOS R5 comes in at 738 grams, and the EOS R6 is at a 680 grams. If I was upgrading, I'd probably want to stick with something that's lighter, and that would probably be the EOS R6. But in terms of having that extra 100 and something grams, I don't necessarily need all the extra features. And if I was taking this camera traveling, then I would want it to be as light as possible. The new R5 and R6 have new IBIS systems in the camera, and this is super helpful for not just photography, but mostly videography as well, especially if your lens does not support image stabilization, such as the one I'm shooting on right now, the 24-70 f2.8. And generally, since I'm going to be using this camera mostly for photography, most of my photography work is going to be either done in studio and probably not necessarily done in low light. So in terms of using IBIS, I don't really have a good beneficial use for it, especially that I am straying away from video work for the next little bit and primarily focusing on photography. In addition, another thing I would like to note is that the EOS R has a nice deep grip on the camera, and in having the new IBIS systems with the R6 and R5, the camera actually gets a little bit thicker than the R, so your depth of the grip is actually a little bit more shallow. So I heard it's closer to something like an 80D, but I like the depth of the grip on this camera. It feels nice and comfy. Last thing I'm talking about is having dual card slots. Like I said before, most of my work is going to be done in studio now, so I'm probably going to be left tethering the camera to a computer, and redundancy doesn't matter as much in that sense because I'm just going to have the files copy over to the computer as I'm shooting. So 2 card slots, 1 is fine for me. In conclusion, the EOS R covers most of the frequent use cases that I have for a camera, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I chose this specific camera when I decided to invest in a system. Both the R5 and R6 look like a great upgrade option if you are looking to upgrade, but I actually only got this camera about a year ago. So I think I'm going to be sticking with this body for the next few years down the line, and then maybe just play around with different lenses on. If in the future I decide that my work might require extra features that this current body doesn't support or have, then I might change my mind, and hopefully by then the new R5 and R6 bodies will have a successor and those bodies will be cheaper. So then it would be easier to upgrade into those bodies. Let me know if you guys have considered upgrading to the R5 and R6. I'd also like to hear what camera you guys are shooting on right now, and you can let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys found this video helpful and whether, be sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe for new videos coming mid-August. See you guys in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye. In terms of the button layout, it does look